When I reflect on the times where I was pushing too hard or where I felt like I was doing a lot of work, but it wasn't satisfying me, one of the blind spots I had was not taking a step back and seeing what I was working to or having any kind of measurable way of saying, oh, today was a success. There might be a really good reason that you've sealed yourself off from being aware of because you're hiding from something. You really have to do the painful work sometimes of being alone and not working. Motion, whether that's work or always staying busy, is one of the ways that I've avoided difficult conversations with myself in the past. Bang bang. Is that a Diet Coke?
We're back. I'm drinking a San Pel. Aranciata, Aranciata Rosa. Rosa. I don't know. It's
Blood orange.
blood orange. How'd you know
Yeah.
that?
Because I have the same ones in my fridge.
Oh.
God damn.
Well, you said you were going to play something off the rip of this podcast?
I don't have it fired up, but we can edit it. So
I don't hear it if it's playing.
how can you not hear that?
It's cutting in and out. Because it's probably
That's-
too
that's not
loud.
fun.
That was a...
Saturday
it was-
night's all right for fighting. I mean, that just brings up so many good memories.
Well,
So much
Well-
damage,
what...
destruction.
so many hockey dressing rooms just destroyed after
People
a
coming
game.
out of the showers, and you have that like little wood piece of a tape roll. You're just firing it around.
Yeah, you're not going to take anyone's eyes out with that.
Yeah, I think you have a story of when that might have happened, but maybe we don't have to share that on the pod.
No, we both know a guy who I think accidentally hit someone in the eye and almost ripped off his cornea or whatever the thing over your eye is.
That's
But,
your eye.
Yeah.
Plus
that's-
one.
It's
Feeling
not good.
hot.
But you're playing Saturday nights all right for fighting. what a Canadian throwback that is, Nickelback. But I thought you were gonna play a grind set meme off the rip. Of the
Oh
show.
no, it's not a meme. I want to read it out though because this
Okay.
is just the ultimate humble brag. This is from Zach Hommel. I don't know what he does. He looks jacked though in his Twitter profile picture. Here we go. Okay. I retired my wife last year, and in 4 weeks, I'm retiring my mama. I could have bought a new Mercedes with cash, or a big house on the hill, or a watch, or gave myself a raise, but none of that brings me joy. So I'm doing what does. Success looks different to all of us.
What's he doing? I'm just
I think it's a callback to retiring his wife and then retiring his mom. So it's a multi-layered grind set post. There's value judgments on people that buy big houses, watches, or give themselves raise. And there's also I'm better than you because I can retire my mom and my wife. So there's a lot going on. That has texture and depth.
I'm rich as fuck, so I can retire people, and I'm so rich that I just give, and I'm so rich and so kind. I just give my money away because it doesn't matter. Like,
Material possessions don't turn me on anymore.
oh, if you guys do that, like, okay, I mean, yeah, do whatever you want, but I think that's totally lame and not really noble. So here's me on my high horse.
You're less of a person if you enjoy those things.
Disgusting. Despicable.
That throws you in a pretzel like no other grind set meme that I've come across.
Well, no, I usually grind sets like advice stuff, you know? It's like where you should be looking towards. Where are you headed, you know? You should be headed onto a yacht. That should be like, you should get a picture of a yacht above your computer that you grind at every single day. That's or a picture of Zuckerberg foiling. I don't know if you've seen that shit.
Oh my
but-
god,
oh
with the
my
American
God.
flag.
Yeah, that was, I mean, that's a, wow, we are just fucking, that was a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
But, or maybe it's a
Unreal.
month. Hilarious.
And then a bunch of people were chirping about his legs. I hear foiling is incredibly difficult.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
shout out Mark
It's
Zuckerberg.
the most billionaire activity of all time. It really is so billionaire or like multi-millionaire, like Silicon Valley type shit. They're like, yes, we're going for a foiling break from work. And they just go like into the bay and just foil around.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Can't relate.
Although I have to say, like, I've been to San Francisco one time. I was around a bunch of like tech people.
The people
For
you
like
love.
the best. Don't get me in trouble. And it's a beautiful place. Like that's a place where I'm like, wow, this what a place to work. To look out your window at an office and it's just like sweeping landscapes, looks like a painting in the distance. there's like so much activity and swim clubs and everything to do. It feels like wouldn't be a bad place to live. Would not be a bad
Well,
place to live.
clarification, I'm sure the landscape looks great. I don't know if you saw a picture from San Francisco League last week of a lovely lady with an AK-47 holding it out of a car.
Oh, when was this?
This is last week.
That's lovely. It's
Like it looked like it was
cute.
a screen cap from Call of Duty, from Warzone. The boys were buzzing,
But
but it
why?
was real
What
life.
was going on? What
'Cause they
happened?
don't care because San
Who's
Francisco put
they?
some laws in place last year that like petty theft and crime was allowed.
Oh, well, that's
And
I
it's
thought that
just
was.
devolved into this. It started with like, oh damn, I'm kind of smelly. I need this deodorant from Shoppers Drug Mart, and now we got AKs out the side of a car.
That's not a petty crime. That's a. I think that sounds pretty
No,
fucking serious. What's going on with day to day life? Have you found a job yet? Like, I feel like I'm your dad at this point.
still grinding. I've made it's an important part of my journey. I've decided that I have to come at this job search from a position of strength and not weakness. And so I'm grinding out LinkedIn content. I'm that guy right now.
Are you actually making content?
Grinding. I
No, you're
am. I
not.
have to, dude. My
Oh
LinkedIn
my god.
profile looks so bad. There's just no information. It doesn't even say that I graduated from Ryerson. I just
Oh,
imagine a recruiter coming in and being like, "Who the does this guy think he is?" And then just
dude.
not even clicking on the portfolio. They're like, yeah, this guy just doesn't take it seriously. So that's where I am. I mean, it's just incredible. There seems like there's 20 new job postings each day. So it's almost impossible to keep up with them, but
Dude, there's
I'm
a
on my
million.
grind.
There's
Yeah,
a
I know it's
million job
insane.
postings.
Like,
It's
where's all this
insane.
work? Nobody wants to work. Everyone's waiting for their next stimmy check.
Dude, what's crazy? Oh my god, you have nothing on your LinkedIn. This is
Nothing.
a
I know. I look
terrible
like a
LinkedIn. You
psychopath.
don't have a photo.
I
No,
had
no, you don't look like a
nothing.
psychopath. You look like a fucking homeless person. There's just nothing there.
I don't
Shit.
even know what to say to that. I mean, what a value judgment. Yeah,
Oh,
you
content is
look
king until it isn't.
homeless.
Oh, I remember when you were writing the fucking articles and then you just stopped.
Just
No,
stopped.
remember when? Oh my god, this is a little throwback.
It was a deep
I
cut.
was
This
like, you
is
should wait.
last
You
summer.
should do one a week. Just do one a week, and you're like,
Oh, here
dude,
it comes.
I can do one a day. Like this guy is this guy can't write. I'm the fucking writer. What happened?
Lasted
Like
all
five
of
days?
2 months.
No, there's no way you did it every day for 2 months.
No, 1 month strong. Then it went to 1 week. Then it went to see you later.
Went to holy shit.
See you later.
I should have built up a
Gotta
couple more.
pace myself.
Dude,
Yeah.
wow, Greater Toronto area is such a stretch for where you live, but that's fine.
It's such a lie.
What a long. Wait, we should cut that. Bleep.
What? Yeah, but
Um,
bleep, and we're back.
No,
Yeah,
but
bleep.
it's true. I remember I met a guy on LinkedIn. So weird to say that. He like messaged me. And we had a phone call about like just LinkedIn in general because I wanted to like learn some stuff. And he like runs like a LinkedIn business or something. I forget exactly. And he talked about all the words that you use in your like your bio, in your about me, in your contact. Like there's so many different search functions that different companies have when they're recruiting or hiring that you just need to spam your profile, even through recommendations from friends or colleagues or family. All those help you get spun into the algorithm, into the search function so that you can get applications. And there's so many people looking for work on LinkedIn.
Insane.
It's
These
insane.
applications are like they start the first day they're posted. It's like, oh, 20 people apply to them. The day after, it's like you are applying with 500 other people. Like, where did they come from?
Who are these people? It's insane. And same with the amount of freelance work I've got on here as well. It's kind of crazy, kind of friggin' crazy. But so
Kind of
what?
insane, but that's me. That's where I'm at. I
But
gotta
you're,
update my profile so I don't look like a homeless person. My or your words, not mine.
but it can't just be the LinkedIn. Like what else? What else? Like what are you doing right now that isn't working that you need to change? Like let me be here as someone to
let
help
me let me do
you
some therapy for you.
because usually it's
Um,
the other way around, which
it is.
I'm finally
You
glad that
want to feel like you have a role in my life. I appreciate
well,
that.
I just
You
want
matter
power.
to me.
I just want
I
power.
want power over you. No, dude, I don't want you to drive me home because you will have power over
Why don't
me.
you tell that story real quick? Your power, you have some issues. Or do we want to cut
Great.
this? Sorry.
That's a great segue into
No.
that. That's awesome.
Okay, cut. Just
So
talking about your
the
shit.
story was that we were at a buddy's place in a great, not so great area of town in Toronto, off of Shooter past Sherbourne, if you know where that is. You know, my apartment was about 2 blocks away. It's probably
No,
like
it's
what?
not. No, it's
Yes,
not.
it is,
It's
dude.
like it's like a 10-minute walk. It's
It's
a
like
far walk. It's not
it's a
2
10-minute walk.
blocks.
I enjoy exercise. Listen, it's
2
fine.
blocks. 2 blocks.
2 blocks away.
2
So I was like,
minutes.
listen, I'm just gonna walk it. I'm gonna walk it. And you offered me a ride, and my reason for taking down the ride, for not taking you up on your offer, was that I didn't want you to have power over me. I didn't want to owe you one.
You didn't want
Me owing
leverage.
you one would have been like, hey, dude, let's talk about the typography in my video, and I'd be like, oh no,
Oh, that's
here
a
we
deep
go.
cut. That's such a. That's straight across my chest. That cut. Oh my god. You're just like, I don't want to help this guy with
Don't
anything.
want to spend the next 30 minutes of my life doing this.
Well, yeah, I remember you just being like, no, like I'm not gonna get in the car. I'm like, I'm going that way anyways. And you're like, honestly, man, don't worry about it. I'm honestly good. And then I ended up driving you and be like, why didn't you want to drive? It makes no sense. You're like, well, I just, I didn't want to have to buy coffee next time or kombucha or whatever the fuck.
I don't
we
have
would-
the money to do that right now. I know it doesn't sound like a lot. I can't buy you a Vite Pod next time you ask.
Okay.
Cut.
What were we talking about right before this? Before the story?
You helping
Oh yeah.
me with my jobs hunt.
So
search,
let's
trying to
get
move
back
to
on-
Toronto.
Let's get back on track.
Let's get back onto me. That was a good smoke bomb, but we're back.
Let's that's a good. Let's get back on track. What have you been doing, and have you been analyzing it? How you could be better at applying to jobs, getting jobs?
This is a layered shirt because I'm big on reflecting on my actions, and Will's not. He just blindly jumps into projects.
No. Listen, don't make me pull up the notes you have in this Notion we have.
These are
for
all
future
great
pod
ideas,
topics.
and you shit on them. You said they were tech ideas. I
you-
use these
Well-
I do fire breathing every day. You want me to say it on the podcast? I'll say it on the podcast.
Dopamine stacking.
Dopamine stacking.
Dude.
Yes.
Heh. But it's fine.
No, your
Continue.
problem with you
It's
don't have
just
a
a
problem
funny
with the
name.
idea
It's just a
itself.
funny
You have
name.
a problem with the name.
It's just the way it's like figuring. It's like people who aren't doctors try to figure out chemical names, and then like put them into like terms that they coined. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like
Yeah, there's power in that
it's
because
so funny. It's such a
the
Tim
normal people don't
Ferriss-
understand what the actual scientific term for dopamine stacking would be.
Can we get back on track, please? Mose?
Sure. Take it away.
Where are you headed with the job search? Is it something that you're reflecting on? Are you aimlessly, with your eyes closed, just kind of like feeling out the waters? Where are you headed, and what's going on? Because I feel like it's been a while. Where are the job niblets, the little nibs?
Competitive job market. I don't think agencies look at freelance experience the same way that they look at agency experience. Duh. I would like to celebrate all of the progress that I've made in the last 3 months, because probably April, I didn't have any case studies. I didn't have a portfolio website, or any way that you could really find me online. And now I do. So we're making great progress. And next steps, LinkedIn. That's
Can we
my
talk about
progress
case studies?
update.
Sorry to cut
Yeah,
you off there, but can we talk about
Case studies is just like what you did on a project, what the impact was. I think it's a good idea to outline your process. Like, how did you get to a result, and how can you do it again for me? Because that's what people really care about. It's not what you can do, but what you can do for me. And just showcasing the work that you did in a way that makes it attractive to people in the future. That's
So
my
it's
best definition. Did that make sense?
Yeah, it's kind of like
Have I lost you?
it's kind of like packaging your work together with visual and written to kind of explain it, but also like I wonder, can you do that? Can you do that? I just like fell off my train of thought, but do you think you can do a case study for video, or is that mainly for graphic? Because I
It's
feel like
more
video could
for
work with
design. I
screenbooks,
think it started with design. Um,
but with
I think it,
screenshots, you could make something work too. You know what I
I think
mean?
yeah, I think it depends on the type of video. Like if you're doing a 30-second video or a series of videos for like a brand on social, maybe that doesn't need a case study, but if it's a longer project, for sure. I'm trying to think of what you would include in it as a video person. I would put in like treatment, uh, and all the pre-production work that you did, and then the video itself, and then
Like
impact from that video.
yeah, or like
And then
what the
I think
goals
screenshots is a
were.
good idea. Yeah, just say like, why did you do this project and what did it accomplish?
And how sad is it? This stuff that makes videographers most excited. I did the lighting this way, the composition this way, the audio sounded this way. All that is irrelevant to a certain degree when you do a case study because they don't care. It's like you hit Rembrandt lighting in this one scene where you didn't think you could get that shadow cast across their cheekbone. You know what I mean? Like they don't give a fuck. It's kind of like, how does this make me
How does
make
this
me
help our business?
Okay, so
We've talked about that before, though. I mean, it's just kind of a sad reality of service work more broadly.
well, that's yeah. Anyway, well, okay.
Depressing.
Why do you got to bring that up?
All right, and we're back.
Okay, so what's this peak and end moment thing you want to talk about? Because it made sense a lot, but what's the book? Was it Timmy? Who?
It wasn't
what
Timmy.
book did you find this in?
These are visual principles. They're gestalt. Can you say that?
Gestalt.
Gestalt principles.
What about 'em?
Basically how we see the world, how our eyes work. And one of the ones that I thought these are they deal with design primarily. That's why they made up. But I mean, visuals are also. I mean, visuals. Videos are also very visual. Duh. And I thought it applied well to video. So when you hear peak end result, what do you think? What are your guesses? What does that mean?
My guess would be that you want like the peak and climax of the video to be at the, or the peak and climax of interest in the video to be at the end to leave someone satisfied so that they come back
Oh,
for more.
wait. Sorry to cut you off. This is relevant to the discussion that we just had. I got a job interview on the pod.
No.
Dropped
Let's
it.
go. And what
Moving back to Toronto.
Actually, wait a
It's
sec.
with
Wait a
the-
sec.
yeah.
Don't say it. I feel like you want to keep this secret.
Yeah.
You might get things. Is that a LinkedIn
Just
message or?
get rejected. Bring it up in the pod and just get
Oh my
rejected.
Well,
You said the guttiest shit, and not really gutty, but I thought it was hilarious because we do this all the time, but people don't see it on the podcast. You're like, what if you don't get a job? Is that just gonna crush your self-worth? It's like,
wow, I have all these
there's
skills.
some
and-
element of truth to that.
I have all these skills and I've got talent. I've got a good brain, got a good way of thinking. I am a valuable person to many firms. But I didn't get hired by any.
But I sent out 20 applications and nobody got back to me.
They don't care about me cuz
No.
I'm literally just another application. They haven't met me. They should listen to the podcast. I feel like this is a good resume. Imagine
It
if
is.
you actually clipped segments from the 55 episodes we've done.
Bang, bang.
Yeah, humble brag.
Listen, one day I'm going to retire my mom and then I'm going to retire my wife.
And then me.
I don't need a car.
Dude, if you ever make it big, you're retiring me. You better fucking retire me. This podcast has been all over the place with
I
topics.
kind
but
of
we
like
even
it,
talked
though.
about it's the best. We even talked about the peak end rule. So what did I say it was? I said it's like, the climax of interest comes near the end moment of the video to leave someone coming back. I would imagine with that moment that's at the end, that's so hype, people want to watch the video again. Is that what it means? I know I see the write-up in our little document, but I didn't read it.
Are you reading it
No,
as you
no,
answer?
no.
No.
I made
Yeah,
an
it's pretty
active-
much that. Like everyone obsesses so much over. I mean, I shouldn't say everyone. Brands obsess so much over what their hopefully they obsess over their customer experience. But this rule says it basically comes down to the peak moment, whether that's really good and you're like, oh my God, my Uber came here 2 minutes before it said it would, or really bad. I think a lot of people are booking Ubers to airports or meetings that they have to be at, and then Uber has this huge shortage of drivers right now, so they're just canceling their rides. I mean, that would just infuriate me. I'd probably smash my phone into a million pieces. But that's the peak, and then you're gonna, if we'll keep going with the Uber example, if your Uber gets there on time, if you have a good conversation, if your Uber wishes you a good day at the end of the ride, you're the only two things that you're going to judge your experience on is that peak moment and then that last moment that you have with them. And I thought it was interesting because the videos that I like the most on Instagram, or just content in general, have this really interesting peak or hook. Usually it's at the beginning of the video. And then we've talked about before how the best videos that we like on Instagram also loop seamlessly. So it's like the end of the video tease up the beginning, and it's just this really seamless loop.
Wait, so my explanation of it was wrong. I fucked that up.
You were almost
It
there.
was kind of there. No, that's like a really interesting concept for video, especially video, is that there are two moments that are going to keep people coming back to watch it again. It's like that hype moment that maybe ties a few loose ends together, or maybe it's just super exciting, and then there's that ending moment. The end doesn't have to be this climactic explosion that leaves you wanting more. It could even just be like the perfect bow on top of
Hmm.
the present under the Christmas tree.
I think
You
it's
know what
got
I
to be
mean?
satisfying in some way. And there's probably a million ways to
Yes.
do it, but it can't just be like a hard, janky cut.
And how crazy is it? Like finding what's satisfying isn't so much about understanding video; it's about understanding people.
Yeah.
Like
You
it
could say
all
that about a lot of design and video.
a lot of design and video, and it makes you think like how this is kind of getting bigger topic, but what do you think? And I'm really putting you on the spot here because I don't know the answer to this.
Love this. Happens all
That's
the
what
time.
I do. Um, what like how do you think you understand people more? I would imagine it's through reading like fiction, reading nonfiction, or just kind of like consuming the world. Do you think that's maybe the best way, or do you think talking to more people? Obviously, or it's a mix of both. But like, how does one get better at understanding humans and what makes them satisfied and what's interesting?
Yeah, I think talking to people and reading people are one of many ways that you can do that. Um, I also think that there's something to be said about studying psychology, and these Gestalt laws are really great for that. I stumbled across this great site. I'm just gonna shout it out. We're really bad about linking these things, but hopefully we link it. And that's not a shot at you. I think that's just bad process. But lawsofux.com. It's great. Has about 20 to 25 um, different laws about human behavior. It's kind of like what's that book that Chris Stefano rips on? 50 something laws of power. This site, which I think is a great resource, has a bunch of these laws, and then even better when you actually click one of the thing, they give you an overview, some takeaways, and then they also give you about 5 links for understanding it better and putting it into practice. So that's been really useful, and I think that thinking's almost half the battle on these creative projects, and you have to be able to put yourself in the shoes of the person that you want to reach. It's not about just how it looks.
That's it's true. It's true. It's like who's the market, who's the audience, and then what are like things that those people enjoy inherently in like life. Like
Hmm.
athletes have a different satisfying feeling than maybe someone who's more of like an artist or a reader or just more of a casual like person who's not super active. You know,
Couldn't
like
be
they
more
have different,
different.
so different, so different. But it's like, do you want to spread yourself thin and do two different types of work, or should you, if you're an athletic minded person, should you just stick with athletics? I wonder if it would help to understand a different audience of people. I wonder if that would translate into understanding the audience that you enjoy the most or that you want to tackle the most. But anyways, at the peak and end moment, that's very interesting. I wonder if I'm ever going to reflect on that, actually trying to add it to my work, because
I wonder if I'm ever
fuck.
going to put it into practice. I think it's also kind of like it's really disheartening in a way because I know so many video people that are so passionate about all of the skills and nuance and detail that they put into video. And then to have that reduced on the other side by the people that are actually consuming the content and knowing that they're only really going to care about two things, it almost makes like 85% of what you do redundant or useless almost in a way where if you nail those two things, if the hook in your video, the first 3 seconds is really strong, and then you have a money shot at the peak, and you save your best work for there, and then it also ends in a satisfying way. If you take care of those three things, it's almost like that 80-20 principle where like 80% of the results are going to come from 20% of the work. um I have trouble squaring those two things away as somebody who's super passionate about like the details and the creativity that go into any project. It's like at the end of the day, the end user is only going to care about so much. They're only going to have two or three takeaways. And if you don't do those right, it's almost like none of the other stuff that you did matters in a way.
In the slightest. Okay, sorry, I had to take a little break there. It's really cold in my place. I had to go to the bathroom. You know, it's what it is. But we're back.
Your place looks like a jail in the worst way
Oh
possible.
yeah, yeah. Concrete everywhere. No cell service in the place. It's all
Oh,
good.
wow.
There's some people who don't have iPhones. I kind of want to talk about burnout because I've been noticing more people in general are getting burnt the fuck out. And this is what sparked this thought in my head. Is that I saw that, you know who Pokimane is?
The streamer,
The streamer.
e-girl.
Very successful girl. I don't think she's an e-girl, or maybe I guess she
Is
is
that
technically.
derogatory? Is that like a shot at her to call her an
No,
e-girl?
because I mean she doesn't like try to show her boobs or anything to
Okay.
get clout or any of that. Like she's just like a very like she's like a very she's a very interesting smart girl. Does makes just like plays video games, knows how to like interact with chat and make content. But she came out and talked about her serious burnout issues.
Oh no.
And she was talking about a video where she's like playing video games casually with friends, not streaming. And there's that thought in her mind where it's like, should I be streaming? I should probably stream. And then it's like, but I don't want to stream. And everyone thinks like a video game streamer might be the best gig in the world because all you do is just play video games and talk to people online and you get paid thousands of dollars. She's making millions a year. She's hyper successful. But she was talking about, even though I love this stuff, it's like I don't ever get a moment to relax, and I keep pushing myself into thinking like, how can I be better? How can I do this? How can I do that? And it's something I notice a lot of like entrepreneurial, I guess, self-starter people have. And I'm noticing it also in people that we know through the Twitterverse and through Instagram, people just talking about burnout.
Nick
I'm
Huber.
having, what's that?
Nick Huber.
Nick, I don't think
Sweaty startup.
he doesn't burn out because he doesn't work 60 hours a week and waste his time. He knows how to delegate.
Delegate. Yeah. Sorry, my bad.
But it raised this question in my mind where I was thinking like I'm in the exact same boat, but I tend to attribute this to like quarantine and just people being so locked up and stationary inside that they're thinking like, well, I have to keep doing things to be productive. And maybe they've entered an echo chamber of like they don't meet other people, they're not going out into the world regularly, so that their mind just turns into this like echo chamber of like work, do, success, rather than like, how do I do shit that actually makes me happy, or why don't I do less, make less money to be happier in general? Do you think it's a COVID thing, or do you think it's just maybe the culture these days is starting to ramp up with all this grind set shit?
Yeah, it's probably a mix of a lot of things. COVID takes away rewards that people were used to getting. You can't hang out with friends in the same way that you used to be able to kind of chill and release and relax. And I think it especially impacts people who don't love spending a lot of time alone with themselves. And if that's you or you identify with that at all, I mean, it's a real challenge. Like, how are you going to go out and meet those needs to be with people and to have fun and enjoy your personal life in some kind of enriching, meaningful way?
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about that before. I think you're a person that probably needs a bit more time with people. And so you've gone super hard on the spike ball. It's not a shot. But like you really have to be creative and apply the same kind of I guess creative skills or effort or just like consciousness to how are you going to get the most out of your personal life and your life outside of work now that you've gotten things taken away? And is that going to require that you think of new ways that you can interact and connect with people, or is it going to require you to take more initiative with setting things up because people are a little bit timid and maybe they don't want to take the lead because of whatever reasons going on in their life? Like, I mean, I think people I've seen this a lot, but I haven't experienced it. I think people are coming out of lockdowns and COVID with more social anxiety or timidness or just they feel like a sense of awkwardness because they don't those social skills haven't been exercised in so long. There's so many layers and texture to this problem that it's like it's not just one thing, but you definitely have to stay on top of it if you're a person that needs that outside of their work life.
Mm-hmm. And on top of what you're saying, like a big point she brought up was like fear of falling off, fear of falling behind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, how do people get caught up in this? Because I think everyone will get caught up into it, but many don't. I've never took you as someone who ever fears of falling behind. I mean, this is a funny shot, but it's like, you weren't necessarily applying for jobs until recently. You were
Yeah.
just kind of working on yourself, doing your own thing. Some people may say they're like, "Oh, Mose, why isn't he working or doing this stuff?" But you were, I think, building yourself up to be someone that you wanted to be. And then when you feel like you want to apply, because you're not necessarily in a rush, you can still live at home.
Mm-hmm.
COVID's still happening. You're still trying to figure out what direction you want to go in life. I hope I'm like not mischaracterizing
No,
you,
I think
but
that's pretty fair.
and sometimes that is smart to, like what you said that last episode, sharpen the axe for 10 hours to only cut down for an hour. It's like
Absolutely.
sometimes people, they get so caught up, myself included, like, oh, I didn't make money for all the time, I need to get back to work and go 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 go. But in reality, you're just like shooting yourself in the foot and like
Mm-hmm.
dying inside, because you're like, I didn't really prepare to do all this work. I just thought I need to make money again, or I need to get back in the swing of things. I need to be what I was, or be better than I am, to a point of failure where like you need to take a break. And if anything, now you're just doing less of what you loved at first,
Mm-hmm.
which it seems like
Absolutely.
Pokemon needs to take a break, even
But
though
she
her job.
feels like internally she can't. There's a belief somewhere in there that she has to keep working. And I
Well, one last thing, sorry to cut you off, but
yeah,
I did watch her on. So there's this guy. He's like a psychologist, and he'll do not psych meetings, but they're pretty much like therapy meetings with famous streamers. So he's had like tons of
that's his
famous
job
gaming. Well, no, he's a psychologist, but he does this content on the
on the
side.
side. Okay.
It gets millions of views or hundreds of thousands. And he like talked to Pokemon, and she like cried on camera talking to him, because she always spoke about how everything in her life, and I hope I remember this correctly, but everything in her life has always been, how do I get better? How do I solve these problems? How do I analyze what I'm doing to be the next best version of myself? Instead of just like enjoying the experience, she's always like, this isn't right. I have to make it better. Oh, that stream I only
Mm.
had 30,000 people. Like, I need to add this, so then this many people are going to come in. And there's no like smelling the roses or enjoying things. It's always this like robotic problem, solution, integrate, then analyze, new problem, solution, analyze. And it's like very detached from like human emotion. And it can just wear you out, or make you feel lifeless to a certain degree, which leads to burnout.
Which definitely you need to chill the fuck out before you burn the fuck out. But sometimes that's not a possibility in people's mind because they do feel the need to keep going and keep pushing. I've definitely been in the trap of that. And I think what one of my major blind spots when I reflect on the times where I was pushing too hard or where I felt like I was doing a lot of work, but it wasn't satisfying me or being fulfilling in a meaningful way. I think one of the traps and one of the major blind spots I had was not taking a step back and seeing what I was working to or having any kind of measurable way of saying, oh, today was a success or this week I might be feeling like I'm falling behind, but like, where is that feeling of what's the source of that feeling of falling behind? I mean, that's tough because I think that when you're in those situations, there might be a really good reason that you've pushed out of your awareness or that you've sealed yourself off from being aware of because you're hiding from something. Um, that's kind of like in the clouds, but like you really have to do the painful work sometimes of being alone and not working. I think motion, whether that's work or working out or always staying busy, is one of the ways that I've hidden from or I've avoided difficult conversations with myself in the past. And it's one of the things that you have to be aware of if you're just constantly working and all of your meaning or sense of purpose or sense of self-worth comes from being productive and making progress in your career, I think it's inevitable that you're going to be kind of off balance at some point. Like you are going to lose what you were working for in the first place. I think that's kind of one of the inevitable windfalls of that mindset.
And it kind of comes back to like having friends, right? And having, I mean, not just having friends, but having people you see, because
That
obviously
came
people have
off like
friends. That
such a
came
value
terrible.
judgment.
No. It's work having friends and like hobbies and like communities you go within, like spike ball or whatever, jujitsu, whatever it is. It's like it kind of it's another reason why you work to make money, because you want to spend it to do those things, to have those rich experiences with people.
I want to say something about motivation and rewards. And this is something that I put in the show notes, but there's this myth out there that I think is really dangerous, that if your vision for what you want to achieve, if your big pie in the sky idea for what kind of impact you want to have with your work is great enough, that you'll be able to be engaged every day. I just don't think that's true. I think that we've been influenced our whole lives to look for short-term rewards, whether that was a good grade on a test, whether that was a sticker from a teacher or a high five from your parent or your coach. Like, we've just been trained to look for short-term rewards. And so if you're feeling burnt out, one of the things that you might not be doing is making your days like winnable or achievable in any kind of meaningful way. And I think that you have to be good about building the narrative around what you're doing. We apply so much creativity to the videos that we're doing or the projects that we work on, but we don't think about how we work and making that work fun and enjoyable for ourselves. And so if I feel like I'm forcing myself to do something, eventually like that fuel only lasts so long for me. And I need to layer in those kind of like short-term rewards, that sticker on or the A plus on the paper of the project. And it's like splitting projects into little things. Like, you can feel good about putting all your clips on a timeline at some level. Even if it sounds dumb, you can feel good about getting a bad first draft. Even though you hate that first draft, you can like reward yourself for being able to get that done. And if you don't have those small rewards set up along the way, and you don't feel like the project is winnable or that you can achieve this in all of the little stages along the way, you are going to get burnt the fuck out eventually.
You mentioned something about running from something, right? Like there's maybe a feeling in the past, or like an anxiety, or there's a thing that in your
Yeah.
life happens that like makes you get this like maybe anxious feeling. Everyone knows that anxious feeling in your stomach where you're like, "Ooh, I feel bad about that thought that came in my mind."
Mm-hmm.
One thing I noticed after we had a good phone call conversation off the record, just talking about things in life, I remember writing after that and writing about like what I've been going through with burnout, or just with anxiety, or just dealing with all the work and other aspects of life outside of work as well. And I started realizing like I like beat up on myself with things like, oh, that video was shit, or like, why'd you say that thing to that person, or why did you do this thing, or there's things where like I'm not happy with the way I handled it, and then I'll go like, oh, that's so stupid, or like, what am I doing, or I had to fix this problem, I had to like find a solution and solve the problem I'm having. Where I think when you have those uncomfortable feelings, a better way to deal with them is not just go work and do that thing that you fall back on, but rather like see that thought, like the thought comes in your brain and it makes you feel like shit. Pause for a second, like, whoa, that thought's real. You're like, you look at it and you're like, but it's okay. Like, it's fine to feel bad. The solution isn't drugs, alcohol, work, seeing friends, or whatever. It's a little mix of healthy things that you need to like take a step back and realize it's not that bad. That's just
Mm-hmm.
one mistake you made. Let's just go find a solution. And the solution isn't the first thing that comes to your mind. The solution is just like really sometimes just addressing it and realizing, let's just not do that next time. And being easier on yourself. So many people are really hard on themselves, especially with work and like their career. It's like, why am I not a millionaire at 25, or why am I not doing this or that? It's like, whoa, it's fine to feel that way or not be there. Let's just try and like healthily come back to reality and to our normal thought process and try and figure out a solution. And I found that's one of the best things that I've done is like, it's not a perfect solution, but at least the internal dialogue isn't just beating yourself up, because sometimes that
Mm-hmm.
internal dialogue is what can burn someone out. Because this is kind of a different topic, but like sometimes people get really anxious, burnt out, stressed. There's a lot going on in their life and it's all wrapped in their head. But if they just wrote out on a piece of paper like what they're feeling, they'd realize how insignificant their worries are relative to the reality of what's going on in their life. And that happens to me a lot when you just sit down and write out what you're stressed about. You're like, wait, that's not that stressful. I just had to edit for 2 hours, make this phone call, actually make some dinner so I'm not like starving. Like, it's just like take time to kind of actually write and reflect your thoughts, because you'll see how oftentimes the worries you have are fucking insignificant relative to
Yeah.
what the big picture is.
Yeah. And it's good to see it in writing because I think it shows you how ridiculous some of these thoughts or worries are when you actually write them out.
It's hard to make logical jumps as well in writing. In your
Yeah.
head, you can just make a logical jump. Oh, this happened, so that means this happened. But if you really write it out, you're like, where's the connection here? Because
Yeah.
writing forces you to critically construct sentences that make sense. And sometimes when we think things in our head, they're not really done in sentences. We're like
Yeah.
filling gaps with nothing, but we just assume things based off of how we fill them.
Absolutely. I had two thoughts about that. I think about what you had said earlier. I think that so much of pain in my own life about thoughts that I wasn't doing enough in work or that I wasn't getting far enough didn't actually come from the emotion behind that thought. It came from noticing that that thought was there and then making that thought unacceptable at some level or like pushing that thought away. And then there being a fight between the thought that, I'm not doing enough and that I can't see that because if it was true, that means it reflects poorly on my character. And if you're not aware that that kind of conflict between how you're feeling and what you're thinking and what's acceptable is there, that fighting is just going to go on as like this dull ambient noise in your mind. And that's why, to your point, like writing it out and being aware is really important.
Mose, this has been great. I think this is one of my
This is
favorite
kind of a
episodes as
touchy
of late.
feely episode. I like that.
Well, it started off absolute buzzard and hilarious, and then it ended off with
Got real deep.
super robo serious emotion. But
Emotion style. I don't know if robo and emotions can exist in the same sentence, but you
yeah.
did. Made it
Well, I
work.
figured it out. All right, guys, thanks so much for listening. Make sure to follow us at RnR Podcast everywhere on all platforms, including YouTube. We'll see you next week. Ciao.
Ciao.